Hello everyone and welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Reef. Today we're going to be covering everything you need to know about carbon. Today specifically we are going to be talking about the Aquamaxx ROX zero point 0.8 carbon. This carbon, a lot of people say, well, why do you want to go with the ROX carbon? Because they do offer two different versions of it. Essentially, yes, they both are carbon, but a lot of people have found, and you can even look at reviews everywhere, even reviews on the Marine Depot website. The ROX zero point 0.8 is just, it does a lot better job of getting organics, getting the discoloration in your water, and capturing all that bad stuff and really just drawing it out. It tends to be a little bit more porous, and when you really put it in a microscope, it's hard to see it with your eyes. And that's really what tends to do all the filtration for the water and really just take care of that side of things. So we do have two sizes here. Aquamaxx does offer this in three different sizes. One size is 1/4. The next size up is, not 1/4, 1 quart, 2 quart, and then they offer it in 4 quarts. You can also break it down by gallons. They offer it in 1/4 gallon, 1/2 gallon, and then 1 full gallon. Obviously, I don't have the full gallon version of it, but I do have this version. Previously, I've had a 45-gallon tank, and the 1/2 gallon has lasted me a good year. It's a little bit over a year, like a year in a month. So if you guys are wondering how much of it do you need, breaking down the numbers, this will roughly last me about a good year. And on average, I'll probably run this for about a month to a month and a half and then change it out. I go by the recommended dosage, I guess if you want to call it, that they do recommend. We're going to go through that here in a little bit. So before we do that, let's get into why you want to run activated carbon in your reef tank. Well, carbon plays a very big role. For you guys out there, I'm sure you guys have seen those immaculate reef tanks or even freshwater tanks, and they really look crystal clear. While a lot of that has to do with the mechanical filtration, a big player in that is the carbon. So the carbon can play a big factor on turning your water that really crystal clear blue hint to it. If you notice your water is a little bit hazy, a little bit greenish, a little bit yellowish, and you're not running carbon, you will notice, running carbon within a few days, that'll clear up and look really nice. Another thing that carbon does, it takes a lot of bad stuff out of your water. For you guys that maybe have ran medication in your reef tanks, especially reef safe medication, you're going to notice they always recommend you to remove the carbon, because again, carbon does a very good job of taking out stuff from your water. Let's say if you did run any medicine in your tank, you're going to notice at the end of that medication they recommend you to run carbon, so it can again clean it out from the water column. So those are the big two main reasons people run carbon. One is to obviously have your water really clear, really nice, really blue, and the other stuff is just to get the bad stuff out of the water column. You will also notice anytime you're going to frag a coral with zoanthids specifically that let off chemicals that can affect other coral, running carbon right after that plays a big role on taking out all the pollutants from the water column, so it doesn't affect your other corals. Anytime you have a fish dye or a coral dye or something like that, so it's obviously a chemical in the water column, you can go ahead, even double down on this, maybe dose a little bit more than the recommended dosage, and that'll be sure to take out any of the bad chemicals in the water. So you guys may be asking yourself, why do I personally use it? And then we're going to get into how to use it. So the main reason I run it in my tank is, one, to keep really clear water, which I have seen a difference. I've actually tried not running this for 2-3 weeks and then adding it, and I do notice a difference even in my tank. Really the next big reason I run it is, again, I do have quite a few zoas in there. I have also heard Kenya trees will release like some slime that can affect other corals. So I have noticed in my specific tank, I really don't have issues even with as many zoanthids as I have. Again, they're probably not releasing toxins, but if they are releasing toxins, this ROX zero point 0.8 does a great job of removing it out. So kind of two ways you can run this. And I'm gonna, again, I'll let you know the best way and the other way to run it. I won't call it the worst way, but the other way to run it. So one way you can run this stuff is in a reactor. There's a lot of reactors out there. There's Aquamaxx is actually the reactor I run in my JBJ. You can also run the innovative marine reactor. That's also another really good one. And for you guys who are running some big tanks with big sumps, you can just put this in a standard reactor and media reactor, and you won't have any issues with it. So personally, again, I do run it in a reactor. Typically, it's a lot more effective. Why? Well, because in a reactor, the pump is forcing water through the reactor, and since it's forced through the reactor, it kind of makes it be forced through the carbon, thus cleaning your water a lot quicker. I would say easily probably 4 times as quick. Now, the other way of running it, let's say for you guys that don't have space to run a reactor, or you just don't want to go out and spend the money, what you can do is run it in a high flow area in your return chamber, or in your sump, sorry. Run it in a high flow area, and you want to put it in a little bag. Now, the thing with the ROX is it's very, very fine. I'm going to show you guys a little bit close up here shortly, but it's a very, very fine version of carbon. It's not like the big old pellet size. So you want to be careful when you are putting it into a little baggie. Make sure the little baggie isn't going to release it. Also, another point I want to cover, when you are putting this in a reactor, you don't want it tumbling too hard, because what that'll do, it'll grind itself and essentially turn into dust, and it really won't do any good. Also, if you run it too high in your media reactor, you may notice some of it getting out of the reactor and getting into your water column in your display tank. I've actually done that, and I was going crazy because I thought I was going to kill my coral. But if this does go into your display tank, it'll probably sink. So whenever you go back and you do a water change and you siphon out the sand, you'll probably pick it up through that way. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. But those are the main 2 reasons I like to run carbon. I kind of believe it's a must. If you can't run it in a reactor, at least run it in a little baggie. And I by far recommend the ROX 0.8 here from Aquamaxx. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a closer look so you can really see how this stuff looks out of the box. So I went ahead and poured just a little teaspoon. You can kind of see it here. It's a little bit difficult to see unless I spread it like that. I think you guys will get a better idea. So you can see they're like really, really little pellet size. Quite a few different sizes in there, but generally they're about the same diameter. I mean, I'm going to try and put it in my hand. Oh, shoot, it disappeared. Try and put it in my hand for you guys too. Oh, it just falls. I mean, this stuff is tiny, guys. I mean, check it out. I don't even know if the camera's going to pick it up or not. There it is. So you can see generally it's about the same diameter. It is a few different sizes, and look at me, I'm already making a mess here. But one thing off the bat you're going to notice about this version, which is the ROX 0.8 version, it's a lot smaller than probably what you're used to seeing when people mention activated carbon. And that's really what allows it to be as good as it is. It's a lot smaller, it has a lot more pores, so it can capture stuff, and not only capture it, but most importantly hold on to it so you can actually export it from your tank whenever you do replace it. So right now what we're going to talk about is kind of the recommended dosage recommended by Aquamaxx and what I typically run, as well as the pre-rinse routine, and before you install it on your tank, what you should do and what you should be looking out for. So the way you want to be using this stuff is, you can see here the directions provided by Aquamaxx. I'll read it to you guys. I don't know if I can get the camera to focus on it. So it says, rinse before use. Use 1/4 to 1/2 cup for every 50 gallons of aquarium water volume. You can place loose media in a reactor for maximum efficiency. When using in a media bag, place in an area where the water will flow through it or inside a canister filter. Safe to use in both fresh and saltwater systems. So again, that's just mentioning you can use it in both a media reactor or a media bag. And the recommended dosage is 1/4 to 1/2 cup for every 50 gallons. Typically in my tank, I go all the way to 1/2 cup. I've even done 3/4 of a cup. I guess you can overdose this stuff, but it's very, very, very difficult. You know, like I said, I do 3/4 and I'm only running a 45 gallon with 33 gallons of water volume, and never had an issue with it. So you can see on this side, the ultra porous nature results in a fast-acting carbon that absorbs much more contaminants and impurities than other carbon available. So that not only I can vouch for, but you guys can look at a lot of the reviews online. This stuff is just really good. So Aquamaxx ROX 0.8 activated carbon reduces and eliminates organic pollutants, odors, discolorations from aquarium water. That's another thing I actually forgot to mention. It also reduces smell. So, you know, if you had a fish die or, you know, something go on in your tank, you know, what I typically do, you know, if it does have a certain smell to it, you can replace this, and within a few hours, about 5-10 hours, you'll notice that smell go away. So there's a lot of advantages. Like I said, the main reasons I use it to keep my water clear, to keep all contaminants and pollutants out from the water column. And actually, yeah, now that I think about it, also keeping the smell down, because I do have my tank in the living room. So smell is a big role player in my tank. I know my wife would get pissed if it had an odor to it. But that's going to be pretty much it, guys. We are going to be having another video on GFO. Again, I run the Aquamaxx line of products because they're great, priced very well, and just so many people rave about the results they get from it. So, you know, if something's ain't broke, why fix it, right? So we are going to, again, be covering the GFO in the future. The GFO is really a nutrient export. Just kind of give you guys a little rundown of that. But we're going to save that for another video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to check out this product, you can go to marinedepot.com. I am going to have a link down in the description. For you guys that have any questions, you can leave them down below. But typically carbon is very straightforward. Like I said, it's very difficult to overdose. You know, there really isn't such a thing as underdosing it. You can get away without running it, but just the advantages you get, I mean, are great. I would highly recommend, if you're not running or running it, and if you are running a standard carbon, I highly recommend you giving this ROX 0.8 carbon a try from Aquamaxx, again, sold at Marine Depot. So again, I thank you guys for watching today's video. I hope you guys were able to gain a little bit of knowledge from it. And we're going to leave this video right here. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Happy reefing.